It's time for Measure Twice.
Welcome to Measure Twice. I'm Rob Perugini, along with Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors and Joel Graber from Graber Custom Remodeling. This is the show that helps you envision your home's potential, and you're listening to us on Michiana's News Talk 95.3 MNC. What a great week we've had. Before I get into the sponsors, it's been a whirlwind, hasn't it?
Indeed.
For us.
Where am I at?
You don't even know where you are. That's what it's been like here. It's been a little bit nuts because we've been traveling, and this is going to be a great show because they're always great shows. But this one, Joel and I got a little taste of what it's like to be Chris Kramer. And speaking of that,
we're not quite as dapper.
Right, we're just not as dapper. But you're listening to Measure Twice on Michiana's News Talk 95.3 MNC. We're brought to you by Leatherman Supply, everything windows, doors, cabinets, and countertops, with the showroom now open in Granger, next to C. Kramer Interiors and Hoosier Hardwood Floors, Michiana's trusted and valued experts on hardwood floors. You could visit them at HoosierHardwoodFloors.com. We have talked about this for a decade. Chris has gone away for a week, a year. We've sent him off, and he's come back changed.
Every time.
Every single year. But we finally went to market. The whole Measure Twice crew went to market. And that is, market is, well, Chris, how do you describe market? We're going to describe it in detail, but just what's the thumbnail sketch of what market is? It's basically where all the industry meets in design.
Correct. It's the international home furniture market. So people come from all over the world to shop, the showrooms, and I can't remember how many million square feet of showroom space there is in High Point, but it's
a ridiculous amount.
And it's High Point, North Carolina.
Correct.
Is where it is, which is near Winston-Salem.
Greensboro.
And Greensboro. It's nestled. It's a little hilly.
It's beautiful.
It's a wonderful town.
It is. It's really pretty.
So if you can imagine, if you can name a furniture brand, they are there.
Yes.
If you can say the furniture brand out loud, it's somewhere in High Point, North Carolina, which High Point, North Carolina is kind of central to the furniture manufacturing in the United States.
Correct.
Right?
Is that why Furniture Market ended up there?
I believe so, because originally it was in Chicago at the Merchandise Mart for a while. I think Grand Rapids at one point, because Grand Rapids had a large manufacturing.
They still do make a decent amount of furniture.
They still make some, but it all shifted south, so to North Carolina. So I believe that's why they would have shifted the market to, because it's easy to transport your furniture because it's right there.
Yeah, right. They're not really, and you could actually have a more permanent showroom, which is, if you could imagine somebody taking a small to mid, not a tiny town, but a small to mid town, and just turning the entire town into a furniture store.
That's exactly what High Point is.
That's. I don't even know how else to explain it. I didn't see one supermarket. I'm sure there's one there.
Not downtown.
But not downtown.
No.
You walk down any given street. Let's just call this town. This town's probably 30 city blocks.
Yeah.
30 square, I would say.
Yeah, we walked them.
We walked them. And every storefront has something to do with the furniture industry.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, there's no restaurants on those streets. They're all outside. They're all just on the outside of that downtown. So it's a city like you've never seen.
And it's not just furniture; it's rugs, it's accessories, it's artwork, it's anything that has to do with home interiors, essentially, and exterior. Oh, there's a lot of outdoor. Remember all the outdoor furniture?
Yeah. I looked into a storefront that had rugs when we were walking, and it was, when I say floor to ceiling, it was enough.
I thought you were in Istanbul.
It was amazing, and it was too high for you to look at. When you go into a rug store, they're piled up, but they're usually waist high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, this was 12 feet of, and there was more than one pile. because that's where your furniture store is buying their furniture.
And the
And
whole
rugs.
Well, the whole point of
That makes
market is relationships. Essentially, when you go to, like we went to the brands that we carry. So you meet the owners of the company. Your sales rep takes you through, and you meet other people that you talk to. Customer service reps are there sometimes, and so you get to put a face to a name and the person that you're talking to on the phone. It's also there. You're also seeing trends.
That is for sure.
Yeah.
What
Bunch of hidden doors.
We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that story in a minute.
Oh, that's too funny.
But to set the stage up, we're talking about the international furniture market in High Point, North Carolina, a whole city dedicated to furniture and accessories and the furniture design and everything that goes into it. As a matter of fact, there's a college there that College of the Arts, that is pretty dedicated to furniture.
Right.
I would say it's probably the premier. If you're there, you must be a premier place.
And they have a great interior design school there too.
And let me just say this: probably home of the most polite people. I mean, everybody was just polite, even if they didn't work with you. They did not pass you off. You never felt like you were getting a handoff.
Right.
Even though we were handed off because it's so busy there. And then eventually how it works is you show up in Chris drug us around this town. That's how it works. You go to a furniture manufacturer, let's say like Stickley or something like that. And you're greeted at the door by somebody pleasant and everybody's beautifully dressed and they're exactly what you would think about a designer. And you get maybe 10 or 12 mimosas in you. And then, I don't know how many. There's mimosas everywhere in that town.
Yes, there were.
And then you're met by your sales rep.
You have to get checked in first.
You have to get checked in. That's right. You can't just show up in You could show up in High Point, but you're not getting in anything because they actually badge you and you have to gate.
And if you try to get in, they'll tase you.
Yes, they have these very thug-like, very big with clipboards and felt chains. No. It kind of feels, though, that you're on an A list when they check you in because they check. They check for everything. You meet them, and then they take you around. I just wanted to set the stage for how this thing works. It's very organized. It does. There's nothing about this marketplace that feels like a bazaar or a rummage sale.
Gosh, no.
Not at all. It is organized. It is big business. You're dealing with players that are handling hundreds of millions of dollars. It's pretty amazing to get that close to the top of an industry in one place. I've been in the auto industry. You go to one of these things in the auto industry, you're not meeting Henry Ford's grandson. That's not happening.
Right.
You're not meeting Tanaka Toyota. You're not meeting them. At High Point,
you're meeting them.
They're right there.
Well, yeah, you met the Mrs. Audie who owns Stickley. She and her son Edward.
Yeah,
they come up and shake your hand. Yeah. I'm glad you're here.
Extremely
nice to see you.
Nice people.
Yeah. Polachek?
Yeah, the owner.
We didn't even know we were talking to the owner.
Right.
We just thought he was just some guy.
And he was excited about his product, and he was excited to take us through to show us.
He really
they're
was
proud of what they do.
That's the one thing that I'm going to tell you. Well, as we talk through this, the excitement that the owners have for their product, it is not a sales pitch. They are doing what they love or they don't stay in the business.
Right.
That means clear.
Right. Yeah. And they're very proud of what they do.
Carolina
Custom?
Oh, man, yeah.
I mean, I know you're making a face.
No. They're I wish I had more space. I would put more of their product on the floor because it is a value. Carolina Custom is a leather manufacturer. Beautiful upholstered furniture and leather at a great price point because it's such a small company.
Right.
But it is the highest level of leather.
Right.
You are getting what you're getting from them is the highest quality. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's by far equal to any high-end leather manufacturer, if not better.
Yeah, I think what I got from him was, I can't think of his name now. I meant to bring his card and I didn't bring it in. But what I got from him is he's kind of innovating by simplifying.
Right.
And doing things the way things used to be done.
He keeps it lean, 50 employees. They'll customize anything. So that's why it's Carolina Custom.
And you could call him on the phone.
Yeah, I've talked to his son many times.
And you've got the decision maker. His wife was adorable, clearly involved in the business because she was.
They were all, and there. I mean, when you pick up the phone and you don't even sometimes realize you're talking to the owner's son.
So when we come back, we'll dive into a little bit more of that warmth that we felt while we were there because it's in North Carolina, it was a lot warmer. But but that feeling you get at market and the decisions you can make when you go to the market. This is Measure Twice. Welcome back to Measure Twice. I'm Rob Perugini, along with Joel Graber from Graber Custom Remodeling and Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors. This is the show that helps you envision your home's potential. You're listening to us on Michiana's News Talk 95.3 MNC, and we're brought to you in part by Leatherman Supply. Everything windows, doors, cabinets, and countertops with the showroom now open in Granger next to C. Kramer Interiors and Hoosier Hardwood Floors, Michiana's trusted and valued experts on hardwood floors. You can visit them at HoosierHardwoodFloors.com. These little piggies went to market.
He's been sitting on that all week.
Sitting on it. While we were driving back from North Carolina, I was almost going to sit back there and go wee wee wee.
All the way home.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it because I like you guys. The Measure Twice crew went to High Point, North Carolina for the International Home Furniture Market, where tens of thousands of people descend on High Point, North Carolina from the industry, and every furniture manufacturer has a representation there. There was plenty of excitement. Joel learned that Chris knows about furniture in a special way. Chris also knows how to use furniture as a prop for a joke. Which I didn't even know
multiple
you could do
times.
Multiple times. Poor Joel. There was this.
It's because I put my faith in this man.
Yeah, you believed in him, and then
I put my faith in him. I respect him so deeply.
And then Joel got burned. What was that? What would you call that kind of piece? I can't remember.
Console table.
The console table, which was like above waist high. It was really cool looking. Had a stone top, and then the bottom. What would you say that?
It was like a reed.
Yeah, it was reeded.
It was reeded.
Okay.
It kind of looks like, like for people around here that might be listening, like the roll top desk.
Yeah, so it looked like a roll top desk sideways.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris goes to Joel, can you find the
hidden door?
The hidden door? And Joel's like, just goes at it, man. He's like up and down this thing.
I said, you got to push.
And this woman walks by. And she's just first of all, she's a little indignant because, let's face it, Joel was handsy on that thing. I was
pretty sure I was going to find that door.
There might have been a violation on that. And she was indignant. She's like, that does not have any doors or drawers. Like a kindergarten teacher tells, their student.
Yeah.
And Chris and I look at each other like,
I said, man,
whoa.
You ruined it. You ruined it.
She was the executive vice. We won't say the name of the company because executive vice president of product.
Yes.
So when you look around the showroom,
she curated it all the way.
Every single piece she was involved with. So she was deeply offended that Joel. It was like we may as well have had been a bad prom date for her daughter.
Yeah.
Right.
She was less than thrilled.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And she proceeded to tell us what she did, how long she's been doing it.
Yeah, we got the whole life story of everything there. But poor Joel, he believed in us, he believed in you, and then gets set down the primrose path. But that wasn't it, because it's not fun to just do a practical joke one time. Fast forward a couple hours later.
The next 2 days later.
Well, no, but that same day, remember, there were these little signs up that tell you what designers are.
That's right.
Right, so they're like next to something, they'll have a picture of the designer and a bio, which is cool. Which is cool because you'll run into them.
Right, yeah.
So you could be talking to a person, and God forbid you don't like something. Wouldn't it have been terrible if you just
that would have been awful.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's good that they have these things. Well, this one, the sign fell off and had adhesive on the back and stuck to the floor. Joel walks up to it to pick it up because Joel's like that. He does not like to see trash on the ground. Like,
well, it's somebody's picture. So I was like, well, this at least needs to be picked up. So I just figured it fell off the wall.
And it wouldn't come off the floor because it got stuck to the floor. He looked at Chris and I with such indignance.
I thought for sure you guys had done it to
like
me
we
again.
had done that again. I was like, Joel, well, I never.
So did you guys?
No.
Okay.
I didn't even see it.
No, it fell off, but your face was crazy. But but we had a good laugh over that.
And then 2 days later,
Chris strikes again. Only this time it was kind of crazy because travertine, which was
everywhere,
clearly, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for furniture, you're going to see travertine, which is Joel.
It's trending right now. It's a stone. It's almost limestoney looking.
Mm-hmm.
Porous, typically filled some. Most of the time, like a tannish color. It's a beautiful stone.
If you go to Chicago, there's a lot of buildings with travertine on the outside.
But this was everywhere. Every showroom.
Yeah.
Every showroom had this. And this was like if you could imagine an 8-inch block, an 8-inch high by 3 by 2 block of travertine on this piece of furniture. And what does Chris do? Joel, can you find the drawer? There's a drawer on that. Find the drawer. And
wait, it's a giant.
What did you say?
Like, it's really cool how they could put a drawer in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. So with malice of forethought.
There's no drawer.
There's no drawer in a piece of stone.
And the young lady that was leading us through the showroom tries to say something, but Chris shushes her
the
down.
young lady with this adorable school teacher from South Carolina. She goes, I don't think there's such a... And Chris looked at her like Chris looked at her like a librarian telling somebody to shut up.
Her.
Yeah. And then Joel just slowly turns like, you bastard.
Well, she started to say, I don't remember that being a drawer, but they may have changed that since last market.
And we're talking about the Measure Twice crew. We went to High Point, North Carolina, International Home Furnishing Show or Market. They call it Market.
They call it Market.
It's a market for a good reason, right, Chris?
Yeah.
It's a market because people be buying stuff.
Yes.
You can order anything that's there.
Yeah, everything is for sale. Everybody you talk to is a salesperson, really, at heart.
Yeah, no, really.
That's not a bad word to me.
No,
because they're sophisticated.
If they didn't,
how would
why would they be there?
But they're sophisticated salespeople there. I thought that Chris is going to be like, some are better than others, right? True. You do meet. You can tell the difference between your reps when you're there.
Mm-hmm. Chris was clearly beefing with one. It's probably because he'd convinced him that there was like a trap door and something.
Yeah. Now we know how Chris gets sideways with the market people.
I'm a little mouthy, I guess, sometimes.
Chris will sit on a chair and tell you exactly the first thing that comes to mind. It's like a furniture version of a Rorschach test. He's like, remember, you sat down and you're like, man, this feels like I'm on a trampoline. This feels like I'm on a bad flight to Mexico. It was just really...
This is not comfortable.
Yeah. And I'm like, you are talking to the person there, but...
Well, they need that.
They want our feedback.
Right.
Because they make modifications based on that.
But when you're first there, you aren't rude about it. It's impossible for Chris to be rude. If Chris gets to rude with you, you did something egregious.
Yeah.
So you weren't rude, but Joel and I kind of made eye contact like, wow, we're... Now, Joel and I would never do that because we're just...
You're new. You wouldn't know what to... You wouldn't...
I have no idea what I'm looking at.
Our fannies just don't understand the way your fanny understands.
Yeah.
But it was really neat that you could do that at the marketplace. Funny thing is that for your personal business, and I'm not trying to do a sales pitch for C. Kramer Interiors here, but the fact remains is you go and do that stuff, and I don't know if other people in this market, the market you're in, do it. I don't know if they do or don't, but I know you do, and I know that that's why you're so intellectual about the products. Because you're there. You're with the people who are designing them. They talk manufacturing so much. Mm-hmm. It's so much of the conversation. Which sometimes if you're buying something and you hear, this is made to last forever, it just sounds like a sales pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but now you see why we can say that.
Yeah.
Yes. Look, my advice, if you're buying furniture, ask the next question.
Yeah. I've always said that like upholstery, it all looks good from the outside for the most part. It's it's what's on the inside that you're paying for.
Right.
That's where the dollars and cents are.
It's like a supermodel. Sometimes it's all pretty on the outside, but real ugly on the inside. And that's...
Well, and I think when you saw the cutaway of the chair, a lot of things made sense.
I was going to say, we got to see the 8-way hand
tied, glued, screwed.
Yeah.
And then we also got
the
to see...
cushion. I mean, all of that, it makes so much more sense and why that construction is made to last. That to me, that was...
Joel would have taken apart every piece of furniture that we saw.
I couldn't help myself but touching everything and figuring out how it was.
He was like a prom date. You got a side eye. He was like handsy with everything. When we come back, let's talk about some of the behind the scenes stuff that we learned about the industry and share that with our audience because they might be buying furniture right now, and these are good things to know. This is Measure Twice. Welcome back to Measure Twice. I'm Rob Perugini, along with Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors and Joel Graber from Graber Custom Remodeling. This is the show that helps you envision your home's potential. And you're listening to us on Michiana's News Talk 95.3 MNC. We're brought to you in part by Leatherman Supply. Everything windows, doors, cabinets, and countertops with the showroom now open in Granger next to C. Kramer Interiors. And Hoosier Hardwood Floors, Michiana's trusted and valued experts on hardwood floors. So you can visit them at HoosierHardwoodFloors.com. The Measure Twice crew, we are just fresh back from the International Home Furnishings Market in High Point, North Carolina. And first time the whole crew went. Chris goes so often that he was like basically
bored. Wasn't bored. I'm just joking.
He sent shockwaves through the town.
Yeah.
But let's pull the curtain back a little bit.
I will say, like, every time he would go, I was like, that sounds like that would be a lot of fun. And he's always like, it's a lot of work.
Well,
I was like, what? Okay.
5.5 miles a day of walking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now I understand. Like, it is genuinely a lot of work because you're trying to retain a bunch of information.
Yeah.
See what the trends are, build relationships, and the amount of walking is just...
I tracked our walking from when we'd start till when we would finally get in the car and drive back. And we were just over 5 miles a day.
Well, and I didn't know what to expect when we, like, with the showrooms. Because Chris would explain, like, they're really these large buildings. Well, it's really extremely large showrooms for the most part. Like, you're walking in and it's 40,000 square feet, and it's all broke up into
categories,
and they have all these different room settings within each room, and it's like, it's just...
It's, remember when we went into Theodore Alexander, and they said that their showroom is 75,000 square feet?
Yeah.
It's hard to picture that.
You can't right conceptualize that much square footage.
It's a Walmart. It's a Sam's Club. It's a Costco. But some are bigger than Costco.
Right.
The one, I don't know which one we were in, but we're still in it, I think. I think a part of us is actually still walking around the building. It was 2 floors of it. It's really that much. And it's the market, what we learned from market, or what Joel and I learned, Chris already knew going in there, but Joel and I's view was we're going to find out what market is because the listener's been hearing us talk about Chris going away, and we come back and we learn about trends, and we're going to have a whole show on trends and lighting and stuff like that because that's what it'll take. But when you meet somebody who deals in furniture, who knows what they're talking about, it's a different experience than somebody who's just selling you the fashion. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That's kind of one of the things that I brought back is there are furniture people and accessories people and design people who are just selling the fashion. This looks good. This fits here. And they might be excellent at it. But when you have that next layer of quality, like what this is made out of,
understanding,
that understanding is way deeper, way deeper, because you had mentioned something on our way down there about layers and how you're going to see rooms set up. And it really came together, Chris. Like, so when you're talking to a customer, I get it now. When you're talking about, you can't put these two things should go together because, and quality has something to do with that. You don't want to have a $1 million drapes and $30 sofa.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or vice versa. It's really, really there. What was your first experience like at Marketplace?
Oh,
It was exciting. It was like, it kind of blew my mind a little bit because it was like, wow, I get to see things I only see in catalogs, and I get to sit in it, touch it. Now I can go back and relate to the customer what I experienced as far as, oh no, this is a great piece of furniture. Here's why, and sit in it, try it, because I sat in it at that market and it was comfortable. But the more you read, for me personally, the more I know how something is manufactured, I only want that quality level because I know how the other stuff is then made after that. Before that,
and
lower end.
You know what's going to happen to it.
Oh, yeah.
You can predict where it's going to wear.
Oh, yeah. Where it's going to wear, what's going to give out first.
Why it's going to wear.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty amazing when your furniture that you're sitting in when you go home, the manufacturer knows where that's going to wear out before you even, they know it.
Well, and if you recall, some of the upholstery showrooms, they were showing you how they matched the fabrics. The patterns on the fabrics.
Pretty crazy.
So that is a lot more time consuming, and there's a lot more fabric waste when you're doing something like that. But if you think about it, if it wasn't matched, especially the stripe that they showed us.
Right.
Well, let me just tell you, what we're talking about is there'd be piping, and piping is when there's it's like a fabric framing around a cushion or a bead. And I'm just trying to use
it's a welt. It's called a welt.
They call it a welt, but I'm trying to describe what we're talking about here, just in case. And if there was a pattern, the pattern matched up on the welt or beading, right?
All the way through.
All the way through, straight down. And it got to me because I'm like, if I ever see that and it's not, I won't feel comfortable in this thing.
Right.
It'll look weird.
A lot of your middle and lower price point furniture won't put a pattern on upholstery
because of the cost.
And that's one of the reasons that they can keep the cost down. They'll only do a solid because there's no matching.
Speaking of which, I learned that the term upholstery is a term for furniture.
Yeah,
it's vast, and then trying to remember case goods.
Goods.
That just kept getting me.
Actually, let's take a minute and just work that out, because the industry, when we're there, we're in the industry, so they're using industry terms. It's like going into an operating room and they're saying stuff, but calling it by the proper name. But as people on the street, you just call that a sofa. They're all sofas to me.
That's a dresser. That's a nightstand.
Yeah. They're all like that. It's like they're all furniture. It's like, no, there's technical terms that you probably won't need to know if you go into a furniture store.
No, you're not going to walk in and show me your case goods.
But there, if we hear the terms case goods, what are we talking about?
Wood products.
Like?
Dressers, nightstands, end tables. But then there are subcategories.
Yes. And that's where I kept getting tripped.
It took me a day and a half to learn what an occasional was.
Yeah.
Which is an
occasional tables or end tables, side tables, things of that nature.
Martini table.
Little drink tables, anything that's an accessory. And then you hear in upholstery, you'll have sofas, love seats, and then what's an occasional chair?
I don't know.
You asked me that.
Yeah.
What's an occasional chair?
Right.
So there's a little side chair that you kind of can pull up, or just typically they're a wooden frame, but they're a smaller accent piece.
And they're chairs that you're not going to kick back and watch a football game in.
No,
You're going to have
they're
a
conversational.
Yeah. When you're not leaning back, you're kind of leaning in or sitting straight. These are those chairs, and they pull it off in comfort.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like really, I would honestly, that round chair. How do I describe it? It's the one that the arms go back into. It looks like somebody cut out a circle and made it a chair. They were everywhere.
Yeah, they were everywhere.
I sat in some that weren't comfortable, and I sat in some that are like this close to being able to kick back and watch a football game, like that comfortable. But that's kind of an occasional chair. In some cases,
No, that's bigger than an occasional
bigger.
chair would be.
See, we could go
Unless you're
back
talking about the small swivels.
the small ones,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that can be an occasional.
and we've seen all of that. All of those names. What's a bed frame is not upholstery. The beds.
The bed, that's a case good.
That's a case good. Even though we saw ones
Even they're
that
all
were
upholstered.
completely upholstered. Yeah,
For the most part.
we can knock your socks
Although
off.
there were a
with-
couple that were just beautiful wood with the leather headboard, and
yeah,
man,
we saw like things that take real artisan work. We also saw furniture that was really highly priced. Some that was worth it, and some that wasn't. It's on the eye of the beholder. Some that were.
Just trying to think which one wasn't worth it.
I know Chris fell in love with the couch. I never saw a grown man fall in love with
I
an
just can't
inanimate
get it
object.
out of my head.
It was.
he went back to that thing how many times?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was.
And actually, my wife honed in on that. She was like, "That's an amazing sofa."
It is, and it's like, but oh well, it is
What are
what
you
it
gonna
is.
do?
Can't have everything.
Right, right. But
It's not possible.
you understand though that if something is $40,000, like we saw a bed that was close to 40.
Oh, that made no sense. Oh my gosh, the gold leafed one.
See, he was like, "I'm trying to think of which one." That one. Yeah. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere.
Sorry, that was I would not know.
Exactly. We saw some things that were just
But they do that on purpose.
right because they saw the other stuff. Through that, when we come back, let's just dive in a little bit of trends. When we come back, this is Measure Twice. Welcome back to Measure Twice. I'm Rob Perugini, along with Joel Graber from Graber Custom Remodeling and Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors. This is the show that helps you envision your home's potential, and you're listening to us on Michiana's News Talk 95.3 MNC. We are brought to you in part by Leatherman Supply. Everything windows, doors, cabinets, and countertops, with a showroom now open in Granger next to C. Kramer Interiors and Hoosier Hardwood Floors, Michiana's trusted and valued experts on hardwood floors. You can visit them at HoosierHardwoodFloors.com. Measure Twice, fresh back from our trip to North Carolina, High Point, North Carolina, which was the International Home Furnishing Market, where we got to experience so many brands of furniture and lighting and accessories and art. We met designers. We met all kinds of industry leaders there. We learned a lot about trends, and we saw some really interesting things, and we saw some things that were like, what the heck is going on there?
But more importantly, aside from trends, you were able to see and understand what goes into furniture
Yeah.
Yeah.
and art. And because you spent quite a bit of time talking to, when we were at the Wendover Art,
Yeah.
the person that was in charge of what
The
was
manufacturing.
the manufacturing.
Yeah. She was, Rebecca was her name, is her name.
Yeah.
It's still her name.
Yes.
Although I said, you need to change it. No, I'm just kidding. No, Rebecca was a great lady, highly educated, very astute. It was, and
I got excited about how she was excited about because she had just come over within the last year.
yeah.
And what they're doing in order to produce this at a high level, high quality, but make it
affordable.
more affordable, and also so that it can be more like efficient as far as timelines and things like that.
Not making it affordable for the sake of making it affordable.
Right.
But eliminating inefficiencies that just add to cost.
Right.
For no good reason.
Right.
Having your piping match up on your sofa costs more, but it's important that it does it.
Right.
Just flat out not ordering the right amount of upholstery is an inefficiency.
Right.
These are the things that she was into, but she comes at it from an artistic perspective.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. Some really high quality people in this industry.
Very educated people.
Yeah. But one of the cool things, and I think from the show, if you listen enough, you know that we respect the trades above all here. So you have these highly educated people who are hands-on people. They're still artisans. They're not just, they didn't sit in a library and learn everything. They sat in a library and then went out and got a tool in their hand.
Yeah, they're not sitting in an office at a computer. They're in the show. They're in the factories.
Yeah.
They're observing. They're actually involved in the product itself. 100%.
Totally makes me believe in having that industry stay in this country at all costs, because these are high quality people. There's no layers. One of the things I noticed, because I'm a business nerd, is that there's no layers in the furniture industry. The president of the company is like 4 people from the person manufacturing the furniture.
Did you? I mean, when I pointed out the owner of Century throughout the showroom.
Yeah, right.
He wasn't. Would you have picked him out as the owner?
Not necessarily.
He's wearing khakis, and you know, just he wasn't. How do I want to say it? No pretension.
No,
Thank you.
he was walking around like picking up people's wine glasses or whatever, and
fluffing pillows,
like
straightening up the showrooms, and no, he was just that's the kind of people they're hands-on people.
Right. They're not. They don't forget any piece of furniture.
And their employees are important to them.
Mm-hmm.
And as an industry, they're together on it. So we didn't run into anybody who badmouthed another company.
Mm-mm.
Now, it might have been because we were in the high end area. Maybe if we went to a lower end, like a Lazy Boy. No, not
there was one
Boy,
instance where it was kind of like a little backhanded almost on the last day, like. Oh, people are still doing that?
Oh, well, that was a sales pitch, right?
Yeah.
Because they weren't.
Are people still talking about that?
Yeah.
Every freaking showroom.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously tariffs were the talk of the town.
Oh, my gosh, yes. I got sick and tired hearing about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, okay.
Spiel. I mean, and I'm sure that was part of their meetings. And
I'm sure they have no choice but to bring that up. It's driven in.
But the other thing about market, and I'm sure you picked I know you picked this up, is they're not putting average out there for the showrooms.
No.
They're showing you what they are capable of as a manufacturer.
Right. The possibilities. You had mentioned that off air that we would, before what we're talking about right now is the Measure Twice crew, we were at the High Point, North Carolina International Home Furnishings Market, and we saw some crazy, it seems crazy. It's probably not crazy. To me, from my perspective, we saw $50,000 beds.
Yeah.
Right? Which is like, whoa. One.
But it was gold leafed.
Right.
The entire thing. Not just
the headboard.
Accent or anything.
And I'm
it was
like,
the entire thing.
That's just a big waste of time. But Chris, your point was this.
They're showing you what they can do with their finishes. Not that they're going to sell a $50,000 bed necessarily, but they want you as a designer, as a furniture store owner, to see what their capabilities are as a manufacturer.
And if you don't stretch, right,
you'll never go anywhere.
Right. And we did see that. Stickley, for example, with the bench. I know it's probably got a technical name.
The bench.
What's that called? Is it a bench? Was I right?
The one that I bought?
Yeah.
The 125th anniversry edition. They're only making 125 of them.
Yeah. What is the furniture called though? What is that?
Oh,
piece?
It's a settee. It's a fireside settee.
I knew there'd be like a technical, but essentially it looks like a pew with a high back. Is how I would.
Oh, thanks.
Well, but I'm just trying to.
It's a storage bench with the high back. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's way more than that.
It
but
is.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
it's exquisite.
It was like a piece of art. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have it.
Right.
So I bought it.
But that's an example of
So one of 20, if you want to see it, one of 25,
And
125.
It'll be numbered, and it will be in the showroom for sale.
and the only way Chris could be assured of getting the first one was to buy all of them, and that was just a little bit.
But if I had not gone to market, I would not have seen that, and I may have lost an opportunity
Yeah.
to put that, because it's a special piece.
Yeah.
It truly is. Now, and Stickley is definitely a manufacturer full of special pieces. Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
have
It's
furniture.
unique to itself, which
It
I
is.
thought was very interesting.
Yeah, because you didn't see that. It's hard to describe it, but you didn't see that anywhere else. That feel or that look in any other showroom.
And everybody nods to that brand. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you bring up Stickley, they're all like, "Oh, well, that's Stickley."
yeah.
And it's probably not everybody's cup of tea, right? Because it's
No,
a
it's
look.
not.
It's
Which
definitely
is
a
fine.
look.
No, I mean so Stickley is kind of, how do I want to say it in the terms of furniture? To me, Stickley's very livable. It's very livable. And then you went into some of the other showrooms that are a little bit more high styled, and the pieces are a little bit more, they're elevated stylistically.
Princess Diana's brother, the Earl. of,
The Earl Spencer,
right?
Lord Spencer, yeah,
The
Althorpe collection,
yeah, that was pretty ornate.
yeah,
I mean, I just want to say
it's
this on
very
the side.
formal.
Saw a lot of horse heads. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. Lots of horse heads for the sake of just having the head of a horse.
But they're sculptures.
I get it, and some of them were beautiful, and I could see in my home. I'm not saying that, but I was just that was the trend.
I guess before I don't know how much time we've got left, but I want to know. I mean, I guess for me, what was your biggest surprise? Both of you, what was your biggest surprise?
That we'd get a call. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I think my biggest surprise is that I'm a business nerd, so that my biggest surprise was A, we were meeting owners. B, the sales reps understood the manufacturing process and its limitations and advantages, which in retrospect, no duh, right at that level. But I was surprised at it. It surprised me at the level of acumen that we were seeing there from these. That's what surprised me.
I mean, so for me, it was also just the ease of access to the top with the owners, the designers that we were meeting, and just sitting down and talking with.
So we'll have another show next week. We're going to talk to somebody from Ruth Merritt,
Yeah.
Bill.
Bill.
So we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. This is Measure Twice.
Podcasts by Federated Media.